Welcome to Aware. We are dedicated to communicating information that inspires your positive growth and change. Are you interested in a peaceful planet? Are you interested in optimal health? Are you living with purpose? Are you enjoying your life? We realize each person can make a difference, and our mission is to empower your awareness. The choices that you make in every moment shape your life, and we encourage you to realize that you have your own answers and to always listen to your own truth. We invite you to stay aware.
Hello and welcome to the Aware Show. I am Lisa Garr, and it's just a joy to be here with you as always. But I really, really mean it, because we get an opportunity in this moment to take a break, an oasis, open your mind, expand your soul, and just receive. Because what we're talking about today is a word that might have fallen off of your radar over the last maybe year. What is it that you desire? What is it that you desire? Maybe you've been coping. Maybe you've been managing. Maybe you've been living on the edge and incredibly stressed with the news and the events that happen every day. Christy Whitman is a transformational leader. She has caught my attention, her very first book title, which is called Taming Your Alpha Bitch, which I loved the title of, and I thought, who is this person to put the B word in the title of a cover? So then I went after her second book, which is called The Art of Having It All. And now her latest book is called The Desire Factor. And Christy has such an incredible way of looking at the world. Her insightfulness, her incredible business practices, and her level of perseverance through any and everything has always been commendable to me as a friend of Christy's. But she also has a set of guides that bring her through her life and have now started to come through and channel and communicate to all of us as well, called The Council. So welcome, Christy. Your life has been a wild ride, hasn't it?
It has. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be back on your show.
You know, I know you first and foremost as the girlfriend that we walk through vineyards together and have deep conversations and balconies looking at oceans together.
You know, we've had some really amazing moments together, whether it be in Costa Rica, where we saw the sun setting and the moon rising, literally
Yes.
like in bathwater in the ocean, or being in the middle of a vineyard where all these other people were around, but it was just literally you and I in that moment, or being in rocking chairs in the middle of a rainstorm in Maui. I mean, we've had some incredible moments together. Or even being, do you remember the ride that we took with, I'm not going to mention who, but we went on a ride with someone, and this person did not drive very well, and you and I were like white knuckling it, going, oh my God, we're going to die. I mean, it's like, oh my God, who gave this person a driver's license?
Oh my God.
So I'm glad we made it home safely.
we have been through a lot together. So we're both members of this organization called the Transformational Leadership Council. And there are meetings once a year or twice a year. And this is where we've had these adventures, is no matter what, Christy and I find ourselves together in some random place, but it's just the two of us and the world goes away. Yeah. And we go into this vortex together that we just cover lifetimes and lifetimes of insights. And it's really quite magical. I definitely have known you from another life, girl. And we were either sisters, mothers, brothers, whatever we were.
Soul sisters for sure in this lifetime.
For sure. So it's been really amazing to get to know you. And also through your work. Now, you have, and I've always looked at what you've done in terms of creating programs and online programs. All of the courses that you've done on abundance have been amazing. So tell me, how did you transform your work from what you were teaching in terms of abundance into now what you're teaching about desires?
Well, you know, it really goes hand in hand. So I feel like it's just more of an extension. You know, it's almost like someone goes into kindergarten and they go to first grade, second grade, right? And as they're learning, they're developing, deepening their skills. They're getting better at math, so they learn harder math skills, and you know, they learn decimals and divisions, and you know, it's like the evolvement, right, for our mindset, for our spiritual evolvement. And that's just where I feel like I keep evolving, especially since the council came through me as a the full channel a couple of years ago. So it's really interesting to see my 20-year history as a coach and as an author, because that's how long, I can't believe it, that's how long it's been, 7 books later, and I think 5 other ones that I've contributed to. But to watch my involvement, it's really been about universal laws, spiritual principles, talking about law of attraction, then moving into 7 essential laws. All the while, really what I've been doing and talking about is energy mastery. And that's really the key to anything that we want in our lives, including desires. So, desire is part of the creation process. And when we learn about law of attraction, we've already had a desire, right? Someone wants to find a partner, they want to make more money, they usually come to it, they attract it in their lives because what they know is not working. And so they're seeking information to make their life better because they have a desire that they've been frustrated with that hasn't manifested, or they deeply desire it to manifest. So desire is the birth of all things.
It's interesting that you say that, because a lot of situations that we're in right now are companies and industries, entire industries that have been shut down or gone away and have to reinvent themselves. And we had this experience with our own company in the entertainment industry, where I went through the kind of the death of my company as if it was a mourning. I've owned that company for 30 years. I created it. And from my perspective, it was like a second child. The amount of time I put into it, my goodness. And for it to go away in one day is almost like a sudden death. And for it to not ever come back the way that it was takes a minute to really reconcile with. And I noticed myself going through the 5 stages of bargaining, acceptance, denial, I mean, everything with that company. And I finally came to, when I realized it was like that, and I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this right now, but it's like I thought I couldn't dream again, Christy.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, when you're in the mourning place, when you're in a place of lack, and usually when we get, something gets taken out of our life, whether it's a loss of a pet or a loss of a loved one, loss of a company, loss of a marriage, when there's a perceived loss, and there, from the physical perspective, there is, right? We can look at it and go, I had it, now I don't. There's that's a loss, right? From the divine perspective, there's not a loss. There's a movement, right? There's an opening to be able to flow energy into a different direction. So the divine that's breathing us isn't focused on what we've lost or what we're missing. It's focused on now what can we create together, because the divine in us is always in a co-creative, moving energy into the forward motion. It's never looking in past. But the human part of us goes, but that's what I've known for 30 years. That's the marriage I was in for that long. That's the child I had. That's the dog that I had. And we need to process the emotions of that, because we're humans. We need to feel the pain. We need to feel the anger, whatever it is. We need to feel the emotions. That's energy mastery, because our emotions are part of our energy system. Not to suppress them, not to put it down, but also to understand that there could be years and years and years and years where people can mourn something, because what's happening is not only are we feeling the emotions, we're now activating the thoughts about the emotions and about the situation. So that's why people stay in therapy for years and years and years and years over the same perceived loss, because they're not fully functioning and fully processing the energy and the mindset, the storytelling, activates the emotions. So the mind and the emotions are getting activated, none actually releasing the energy to be able to align back and then move forward with the energy that you want to create with.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't expect to be talking about loss this much, and it's really, really up for people. I mean, think about people that have lost loved ones because of COVID. I mean, ripped away from them with no ceremony, with no ramp up period, and with no fault of their own.
Yes.
It wasn't like they ate badly, or, it was a period of, 7 months of illness. I mean, it had, people have been taken away, and businesses have been taken away rapidly because of something that we didn't feel was our fault. So yes, that goes into the bargaining part of it. If I did this, could I have had that? And the depression part of it, of it's gone, now what? And, you go after 30 years after a certain trajectory in a business, you expect to follow that trajectory. You build your life around that trajectory. You have employees around that trajectory. And for it to disappear like that, you would have to have had done something really, really bad, doing something illegal or something horribly immoral for that to happen. And it's just gone. So that is something that I love, that you have the perspective of what the divine looks at it as a continuation, as a growth. It took me a good 6 to 7 months to figure that out.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like the council always says. I love the perspective, because I know there's a lot of channelers and a lot of spiritual teachers that say this is a school and we're here to learn our lessons and all of that, right? And it doesn't feel good. I didn't, for those of you that didn't like school, it's like, really, life is a school. Well, the council says this is a gift. We're here to co-create. Nothing is asserted. This goes along with the whole law of attraction. Nothing is asserted upon us. And, we are attracting everything. And as we are noticing, sometimes we don't know why we attracted something, but we can look at it, and the loss of something, the perceived loss, look at it as a gift. It's up to us to sit with it, to open it up, to uncover. I have 2 packages that were sent to me, right, for Christmas gifts. And I'm like, yay, after this, I get to open up my gifts. And, you have a process, right? There's a ribbon, there's a wrapping. You get to sit with it. You get to enjoy it. If it's a cookie, you eat it. If it's, whatever it is, right? And that's really what we have to look at each different situation, because I bet there's been times that you really didn't recognize, realize, or maybe you did because you're a very aware person, where you were maybe not as enchanted with this particular business and wanted it to morph into something else.
Yep. That was my prayer. How'd you know? It was.
It's a gift. If the universe is for us, not against us, and COVID was not created to punish us in some way, if all of this is a gift, how many people are waking up, Lisa, because of COVID? How many people are, their foundations, which weren't very solid to begin with, are literally shaking beneath them to wake them up to have some form of change? That's a gift.
Oh, it has been. I mean, look, my husband and I are working together in that company for the first time in 30 years. It's been a huge gift. And it needed that, because he's got the tech mind that the company has now morphed into a tech company. And, I couldn't ever have done that. The whole company was built on my back. And it was built on my relationships and my, way of doing things. And I wore every hat. No, it wasn't working. My prayer was, how do I, all the business classes, how do I 10X my company and get out of the everyday 20-hour days? And boom, shut down. That's the only way to recreate it, was to kill it. I would have never, ever asked for that.
Yeah, to shift it into something new. And that's where, when we find, and here's the thing, this is which is a really important conversation I have right now. Desires are a natural part of our connection with our divine. There's so many religions that say desires are bad, right? You even have the stories of Christianity where, you got a snake. I've never known a snake to come and speak to me, but I mean, maybe they're out there. But a snake, goes to Eve when she's having this desire to eat the apple, and she eats the apple, and now we're all damned to death because the dang bee, ate the damn apple because she wanted her cake and eat it too. And it was a snake that ate, that came and, you know what I mean? So like, there's stories like this that basically tell us that desires are bad. Right? You have the whole Buddhist religion. I'm not here to bash religions, but when you think about what they say about desires, that desires are the root of suffering. Well, the divine council says that the desires are the birth of everything. When you think about it, the universe would not even be what it is if the divine did not have a desire for it, for all the planets, all the stars, for the earth plane, for the humans on the earth plane. All of that was birthed from desires. All of our modern day innovations, the fact that people have families, everything first started with a desire. And
I guess you could say that. Yes, I guess you could say that. They're like, nothing can be created unless it was imagined first, right?
Correct. Yeah. And that's what a desire is. When you think about it, it's like, oh, you get an idea and then you go, oh, I love that. I love that idea of that, right? Whether it's traveling somewhere, right? I was watching Sound of Music a couple years ago. I was just watching it the other night too, one of my favorite movies. And I'm like, oh, I desire to go to Austria. So the movie came on the other night and I'm like, I still have that desire. That desire is there. That creates something in me. It gets me excited about the possibility of traveling again. And the next place I go on a major trip, that's where I want to go. It enlivens us.
To go back to the religious context, though, desires were written, all religions are stories. They're based on, history of stories. And so the desire that's spoken about in religious context could have been misconstrued along the way or meant a certain longing. It meant a need for something to be created. It meant something to move into the next generation of it. And that's a wonderful way to look at desires. You can interpret that through all religions, yes, that desires are meant for a need to create something that is wanted, that is needed in order for evolution to happen. So that's what you're saying our desires are. And yes, that we have, okay.
And it's you notice how it's really never about the end desire, whether it's you want a new handbag, you want to travel somewhere, you want to 10x your company. When you get the desire, it literally was about who you became in the process of attaining that desire.
That's a big piece.
It is, yes, because that's what the divine really is interested in. We, as the co-creative partner with the divine, we get to benefit of having the bigger business or the more money in the bank or the bigger house or the trip that we took, right? But it's who we became and who we expanded into that the divine is interested in. And when you really look at anything, no matter what someone's going through right now, if you look at contrast, something you don't want, it could be something that's really extreme and very painful. It could be something very, very scary. But if you look at it as contrast, this is an opportunity to get the information, looking at it as a gift, to say, okay, I know what I don't want. What do I want? And just that shift of perspective to what do I want, it starts to allow you to open up to desires. And it's the desires that let you move forward in the energy field.
Yes, that whole piece there. Look at what's been created as a result of this virus. We didn't desire the virus. We desired evolution. Evolution has happened with look at our medical system. It's evolved into something that can spit out a vaccine faster than it ever has. I'm sure as a result of the overcrowded ICUs, it's going to evolve into a different way of handling a pandemic future. And what I've also noticed is that businesses have evolved back into connecting with their customers deeply.
Yes.
Yeah, I have noticed that. And that has also happened with the, quote, 10X dream that I had for my company. I needed to change who I was being in order to handle a company that was 10X to what it was. I could never have, it was like basically trying to create a business from the eye hole of a needle. Now I'm creating a business with partnerships, with collaboration, with new technology, with ideas that are scalable beyond just me. And that was a huge wake-up call for me. I haven't figured it out yet, but I do know I'm adding to who I'm being as a result of this business environment changing. And so will all of us. So will restaurants, so will concerts, so will anywhere people gather. We are looking at some huge changes. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's like the REM song. It's the end of the world as I know it, and I feel fine.
I feel fine. Yeah.
Because when you really look at this, it's a universal thing that everybody's going through. It doesn't matter if we were a man or a woman, whether we lived in Canada, Europe, or the United States, what religion we were in. Every single human being was involved in this universal thing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, just much like the universal laws, all of us have accountability to law of attraction or to law of sufficiency and abundance. It's how we interact with our own human choices. Are we going to make this the most miserable time of our life, or are we going to make this the best time of our life? And we all have those choices in that.
Just going to say it's a choice. It is a choice. It sometimes doesn't feel like a choice, but it is a choice. So the guiding principles in the desire factor in the book, there are 7 of them. And these are universal principles that make sense now that you've teed it up this way. So if we could talk a little bit about these, I think we just kind of covered the principle of alignment, because you use me as an example. I just aligned myself with what it would mean to grow my business.
Yes. So alignment is we don't have control out of what's going out there, nor do we have control or even influence over another human being. We have control over our own consciousness. And that means the words that we speak, they have to be in alignment with what we want, with our desire. You can't say, oh, I want this desire, but I can't afford it. Or I want this desire, but it's never going to happen for me. The words that we speak have to be in alignment with the desire, or else there's dissonance.
Okay. So help me with that. So I am no longer allowed to say my business was shut down.
Correct.
Okay.
My business is morphing into something new.
Okay.
My business on its way to 10xing is evolving in a new way.
So anyone who is in any business, you could be in a restaurant business. My restaurant is changing the way that it's doing things. And you might not have figured it out yet, but you're in that process of morphing, changing, and growing to the next evolution of how to connect with its customers.
Unless you're done with the thing, right? If you're done with the thing, you're done with the business, you're done with the marriage, you're done with whatever it was, right? Now it's, I'm not missing this. I'm looking forward to something else.
And that takes you into the second principle, which is that of focus, the principle of focus.
Yes. So focusing, we are free-willed individuals. We have our choice of where we focus our attention. We cannot not have focus. We're always going to focus on something. But if you look at it as a spectrum, right? On one side of the spectrum, you have lack. On the other side of the spectrum, you have abundance. In the middle, you have satisfaction. That's kind of like the tipping point from lack into abundance. Whenever we are speaking, thinking, emoting, whatever it is in lack, we feel bad. We're not in alignment. When we are feeling good, we're in abundance. We're in alignment. We're the one that chooses which side of the spectrum. And it's by our choice of focus, where we're focusing our words, our thoughts, our perspective, our emotions, and the actions that we take. It's all about what we're choosing.
Okay, so I have the choice now to focus on the next generation or the new technology or the new ways to connect with people, and I can align myself with that. All of this is going forward. This is all going towards. I love this. Everything else I was talking about was going in the backwards.
Yes. And let's talk about this from just an energetic perspective, right? Because if you're focused on what was and you're focused on the missing of it, your energy is shut down. You're completely out of alignment with pure potentiality. And it's not in that place that your divine can give you those new ideas and desires. It's when you're in the place of expansion, when you're saying, okay, I'm looking forward to the solution. I know that the divine has the exact step-by-step thing for me because it listens to me. It wants what I want for me, right? And it's like you're aligning your thoughts and your perspective with that. Now you're open. Oh my gosh, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I so look forward to that insight to give me that exact information that I know. Now you're expansive. Now you're an open vessel for the divine to come through you, whether it's in a dream, whether it's you're vacuuming your house, right? Or you're driving in your car, all of a sudden, dunk, you get that in the shower. Mine's always the shower moment.
Mine too.
Right?
The water and the cleansing, yes.
I'm always like, I need a pen.
yes, exactly.
I'm writing on the shower of the steam in the shower. I'm like,
oh, that's a good idea. Write it up there. I have definitely had those experiences, and I do get divine communication. And Christy, at the same time, I have the experience of, oh my God, how is this going to work? How on earth is this going to, when? Like, I need this yesterday, and it still doesn't register. And I go back and forth. It's like a tennis match. And I'm just like, come on, Lisa, possibilities. Come on, Lisa. And it definitely is a back and forth game for me. I mean, I think this is real.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, that when we're in the creation of a desire, the first thing that the human being in the mind wants to do is say, how? I want to know the how, the what, the who, right?
Yes.
All of that stuff will come into play. But when you're in the creation of it and you're in the alignment of the energy and the essence of it, we don't have to know the who and the what and the how and all that stuff. If we're truly co-creating with our divine self by first being in alignment, for you could look at the past and go, it's always the first step that gets revealed. If you were to look back at 30 years ago when you got the idea for your business, you got the first idea, you got the first step, you took it. And then the next was revealed.
Revealed, yes.
And the next, and the
Yes.
next, right? You didn't get this boom idea for 30 years of of step by step by step, right? It's always
Right.
the first step. So as long as, and we're even getting to the end of it. I mean, and these steps are like a combination lock. And what I mean by that is like, when you have a combination lock of 3 numbers, you have to do the first number, second number, third number, it opens. If you do it third, second, first, it doesn't open.
Right.
So the alignment is first, right? Then there's the focus, right? Action is the very last thing. Action is the very last step. It's the 7th step. Very important, because we're the ones, if we're co-creating with our divine, the divine can't take action. We're the action ones. We're the physical ones. But what the divine will do is give you a person's image in your head. I write about this in the Desire Factor, that when I wrote my last book, I went to go, I knew I had this desire factor. I had the council that downloaded this information. All of my books have been channeled. I just never knew who the download was. So I knew I had this fantastic book that I need to get out there. And my traditional ways of getting it out there, the doors kept closing.
Now, what exactly did you do? You said you shifted your energy. Like, how did you create that?
What
did you do?
Different possibilities. Like, I was open, right? I was like, okay, I'm detaching from this. This is not working. I'm not going to continue to beat my head up against these walls. So I just went, okay, I just surrender, which is one of the steps. I surrender. I don't have.
That's one of the last steps, though. I mean, that when you chose, I really want to just dissect this for a second. So you were going after the traditional ways of doing something. You prayed, you got an answer that wasn't correct. What did you do to open up the other possibilities?
I was open in my mind to check out a new possibility, because here's the thing. If I would have received that, go check with Ariel Ford, that was and I went, no, she doesn't do that anymore. I've closed down that energy stream. Because I was open for any possibility. I'm like, okay, you're telling me to do this. I emailed her. The answer was back, but the energy moved in a different direction.
Because you were open. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you have an idea, you create a long list of contacts, you start going after them, make sure that everything is open, and that could work. Great idea.
Very good.
So then, so I just want to, the other principle, and these are so beautifully laid out, and by the way, the book is The Desire Factor, and it is Christy Whitman's my guest. This principle of joyful expectancy. Wow. So now you're saying, get in alignment, focus on what you're doing, and then just expect it.
Joyfully. So you're ping-ponging between I want it, but I don't know what to do, or I want it and I don't know how that's going to work, right? It's our expectations have to be within our mindset, right? We have a mental faculty of what we want to see. We want to picture what we want, joyfully expecting it to unfold. How would it unfold? That's where the visualization comes in. I mean, and visualization is important, but it's not the only thing. It's not like create a vision board and look at it and, we want it to be part of the experience of the desire, so that we have that mental slide in our head, not of what we don't want, because whether we know it or not, we've all got slides in our heads.
Totally.
Right, of what catastrophic thing could happen.
Oh, yeah.
Of what we don't want.
Oh, yeah. Why is it so easy to visualize that?
Right. That's why it's like, put in your slide projector the visions that you want to see. Joyfully expect that everything is going to unfold. You are in alignment with the divine. The divine wants more for you than you want for yourself. The divine is what gave you the idea and the desire in the first place. Your job as a human being is to focus your attention, be in alignment with that desire, and joyfully expect it. And then love the heck out of it. Love the idea.
Most people don't know what they want. And so when you say, all right, well, act as if it's already happened, and then it's just like blank slate because that hasn't even been created yet. Is it okay to just think of the wildest, most incredible thing that could possibly be and let go of any judgment you might have of it not happening and just say, this is what I want?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's more than okay. And here's the thing is that when a lot of times maybe we know we don't want this, whatever this might be, but we don't know what the other options are. We don't know what the other choices and possibilities are, but we do know what energy we want to experience. So if you don't want to feel lack, you want to feel abundance. If you don't want to feel fear, you want to feel excitement. If you want, we don't want to worry, you want to feel like you're in faith. We know we don't want to be lonely. We want to be connected. We could get there to understand the energy, right? We may not know the exact form that it's going to take. And that's happened with my entire career. 20 years ago, I was a pharmaceutical rep. I was making great money. I didn't have any passion or purpose in what I was doing. As a matter of fact, if I get a headache, I don't take an aspirin or a Tylenol. I put a little peppermint, I'm so anti-drugs in my body. And here I was a pharmaceutical rep, a little disconnect, right? A little disjointed in what I was doing. So I felt like, just totally out of alignment, but I was making great money. And so I was like, okay, I know that I'm not feeling passion and purpose. As a matter of fact, at the end of the day, I feel drained. So I want to feel invigorated by what I do. I'm going to feel passionate about what I do. But I didn't have that energy in my world because I didn't feel that yet. And I didn't know what I would be doing, what form that would take. So I just started to connect with, while I was meditating and as often as I could, the feeling of being on purpose and being passionate about what I did, not knowing what the form was. And what happened was that's when my first book downloaded through me. And then I got the book published, following those steps all along the way. And then it was like, go speak in spiritual bookstores and churches. And I did. And then people started asking me to coach them. And I did. And I loved it so much. I had so much passion and purpose for it. I followed and followed and followed. If you would have told me 20 years ago when I woke up at 1:05 in the morning and I was having a download of the book that I would be sitting here 20 years later channeling the council with my 7th book, have certified over 3,000 coaches, have written online programs, I would have said that's impossible.
But when you said that you wanted to be on purpose and have a sense of purpose and the feeling of purpose, what is the feeling of being on purpose? What is that?
It's something you have to conjure yourself. It's an energy. It's a vibration. And we have our own connection with that. If I was to say to you, what's the feeling of success for you? You can't really describe it.
Yeah, I can though. I can. Wow, you really can. It's like that feeling of just feeling balanced and knowing that everything's okay and knowing that you're helping communities and that you're helping people and that you're feeling good in your own home and your own family. I mean, that for me, of course, having what you need in order to pay for the things that you need, that feels like success to me.
Those are manifestations of the feeling of success. Describe the feeling of success.
Yeah, it's
personal.
That feeling, it's that joy.
And it's very personal. It's different for every person. So what you need to do is whatever you're wanting to experience, whether it's success or love or freedom or connection, doesn't matter. It's like, imagine you have a piano and you have a piano keyboard and every single key is one note, right? Well, think of energy as like that. You've got high notes, joy, bliss, positive, all the positive emotions are on one side. The lower emotions are on the other side. Well, a lot of times by default, we just feel the fear. We feel the worry. We're not choosing the energy that we want to feel. But as you start to say, okay, today I want to feel joy. And you start to connect with and imagining that you are bringing in the energy of joy and you are aligning joy. Joy is going to feel differently from you to me to anybody else. It's
Yeah.
personal. It's an energetic connection. And it's hard to describe what it feels like because we want to say, well, joy is just joy. I feel joyful, right?
I remember, I have this random memory just now. I remember the feeling incredible joy, and I was at the back of a train, and it was a Christmas tree train. And we were with another family, two families, and our kids were young. And they were inside the train drinking hot chocolate, and Santa came by in his outfit and gave them candy canes. And I went to the back of the train, and I just felt the wind in my hair, knowing that everything in that moment was perfect. And I could like cry thinking about it. It was such a beautiful moment of just peace and family and connection and joy and little kids. And I love that. And that was so simple. It didn't cost a fortune. We were going to cut down a tree in a farm on a train. It was really fun. Those were really good memories. Yeah.
So
that's
now
joy.
you've got the feeling of joy inside of you right now.
Yeah.
Now create your business from that place.
Okay. Hey, your book doubles as a fan. I love this. Thank you.
It's meant to.
See, it really helps when you have
It's great. Backwards.
I love it. I do. I love it. That goes to the other principle, which is the principle of loving. And we skip the principle of having. So now you have to get the book to get all this. I highly recommend that because there's a lot of goodies that come with the book, and we can talk about that. What is it that when people do go, they get the book on Amazon and then they get a bunch of fun courses, right?
Well, when you go to the desirefactor.com, because right now we're pre-ordering the book because it comes out in April, you get 3 different processes and meditations from the council, which each one of these are just so expansive and so yummy. And when the book comes out, you get 4 live coaching sessions, group coaching sessions with the council. So they come in, they share their wisdom on all the different principles from a much higher perspective. And it's just amazing community and take you through the steps. And here's a fun thing. There's 7 steps, right? 7 principles, but they go like this. If you really know them, it's kind of like doing the what's it called? The lock, right? It's like,
yes.
At first you might go and then you get used to it, and then you're like it's like it goes faster. All of these 7 steps can take a matter of 2 minutes to do all 7 of them. But the way we lay it out, we go deep with each one so you understand and why they're important in a certain sequential order. And when you do it, it's like things just open.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So we're kind of going through them a little bit here, but when you go to the desirefactor.com, then you can get the actual channelings and guidance in real time from the council. And we're not going to necessarily go into that right now with the channeling because I don't think we have time to do that, but you can definitely get that when you go to the desirefactor.com. Actually, there is you can access all of this if you go to theawareshow.com/Christy. So if you go there, it's theawareshow.com/Christy, and you'll be able to see all of that outlined for my wonderful Aware Show audience. So let's talk about that principle of having. What is that?
Well, it's important because typically when someone is in lack and they become aware of don't have what they want, that's where desires are birthed, right? It's like, I don't want this. Then it's the question of what do I want, right? It's like, I want to make more money. I want to start traveling again. I want my business to do better. A lot of times out of frustration because you're not having what you want. And so because of that, because the awareness is on that, you're in lack. Remember the spectrum, right? Well, in order to be a vibrational match and actually be receiving what you do want, you have to be in the vibration of it. And so that's where you want to get into the vibration of having. Because once you've got the information that you've opened up your gift, right? And you're like, okay, I'm feeling really lonely. So I want to feel connected. Now feel the new relationship with the energy of being connected. You see, what happens with most people, if you've manifested a situation, a circumstance, something has momentum of energy has been going towards that thing for a long period of time in order to manifest some kind of form. We've got a PhD in that particular energy stream, whether it's lack or loneliness or separation. We know this. Well,
that is so true. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So
and in order to shift it into being the having of it, so you feel fulfilled, you don't feel lonely anymore, you feel content, you don't feel lack anymore, you feel the abundance, you don't feel afraid anymore, you feel full of faith. We have to create a new energetic relationship with that which we are seeking and the energy of it. So we want to fill up from the alignment that we're already in, because that was step one. Feel what it feels like to already have it.
That's what that really means. So the principles of manifestation are proven every single day, because when we just keep thinking about lack and creating more lack, that is the proof of the principle of manifestation. If we create depression, if we think about depression, we create more depression. Obviously, that's the manifestation of depression. But if we can get ourselves into that place of faith you keep talking about and believing, and really get into that joy and that abundance, like the Christmas tree train, like when I was talking about that, and really get into that and build a pattern, a habit in my brain, then I'm going to get really, really good at creating that, right?
Exactly. We cannot not manifest. We're manifestors, we're creators. So by focus, right, by misalignment and focusing on what we don't want, we're getting more of what we don't want. By aligning with what we do want, focusing there, right, joyfully expecting what we want, loving, feeling the havingness of it, loving it, surrendering, all those steps, that's when manifestations pop. Everything is first energy before it's ever form.
Well, got a question over here. Pick me. I know that people are feeling right now, but I can't do that right now. I can't ride the Christmas tree train right now. I can't go to a concert that makes me feel good right now. I can't do that right now. So how do we train humanity to go into, we're going to get there again. It might look a little different, but we get to create that. Wow.
So here's a perfect example of that. I mentioned the sound of music, right? A couple of years ago, I had the desire. I'm like, I want to climb that mountain because it's such a symbol of freedom, right? They escaped the Nazis by leaving Austria and they went into Switzerland. In the beginning of the movie, it's the same mountain that Maria was up, singing on, right? It was like this slide in my head represents freedom. I could just see that. I could see myself hiking that mountain and oh my gosh, the feeling of freedom. It doesn't even have to be me. I could see the Von Trapp family literally going over the mountain and I can, their freedom. I can connect with what they must be feeling as their freedom. I don't have to even move from my chair. I don't have to get on a train, a plane, and I'm already feeling that freedom. Nothing has to change in order for us to feel and connect with energy. We're energy beings. Yes, we're physical, but we're also energy beings.
That's why we need to know this information more than ever right now. That's why it's more important than ever to be talking about desires at this point, because it's been really kind of overshadowed in our language lately. It really has. And so what you just talked about was that feeling of freedom, that sound of music, feeling of freedom. Do you have to surrender to a certain way of how you think it should be or thought it should be in order for that to come in?
That's part of the watching the language, because in the alignment, there is no shoulds. There's no shoulds, have to's, ought to's. There's no language of missing, of lack. All of that language comes from lack. When you should, I should have it this way, it puts you in a box. It closes down your energy. There's no alignment of creativity. So that's why the step of positive or joyful expectation, right? It's like you get to create it your way. And some people need that kind of like, well, I don't know anybody that's done that, right? Look for evidence of people that, someone was asking me the other day, I was coaching someone and they were saying, well, there's that whole idea of the starving artist, and she was an artist. And the counsel said to her, imagine pictures, think of people that were really and are really successful at selling their art. They make a successful living at doing that, right? See them, get yourself in touch with them, and see they're the evidence, right? It's like you come from your aunt, right? From a successful actress.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that have that idea that if you want to be an actor or an actress, you're going to be starving or you're going to be a waiter,
Right.
that only few make it, right? Well, don't focus on the few that don't, or all that don't. Focus on the ones that do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I attribute a lot of my success to Terry because I got to see as a young teenage girl what it was like to live your absolute creative dream. It was really cool to see her lifestyle and the people that she would connect with. I mean, at any given day, there was like a Coppola in the room, or she was communicating with Gene Wilder. And I mean, just really Carrie Fisher. I mean, it was just cool to see. At the time, I didn't really get who they were, but they were such fascinating human beings, such creative people. And she lived in this really cool creative house in the Hollywood Hills. And it was just creative people in and out all day. And I could have been a lampshade. I was happy. I was just loving, and then I would, like walk through her room and her closet and just, I would probably study who she was being without really knowing it because that lifestyle was so interesting to a young girl of what was possible. It's fascinating. So yeah, I got to see that a lot as a young teenager, and I desired something that gave me that freedom of expression and creativity as an adult. I think it just like was an indelible mark in my mind. Yeah, it was really neat. And then I also had hardworking parents, so then I saw what work ethic was. It doesn't just come like that. I mean, Terry worked her butt off, and she was very, very careful about choosing the scripts she chose, very careful, and worked very hard on her comedic timing. And my father is an orthopedic surgeon, my mom an interior designer, I mean, people around me. So this is the last principle. It was around action. And it has a lot of that too, is to go into a place of what it means to have hard work surrounded with creativity, and then you just start picking up the phone.
You know what? Action is not about, I'm just going to go do a little bit and kind of put myself into it. It's the fullness of who you are. It's that alignment. You literally have that joyful expectation. You're focused on the fact that it's going to be fulfilled. You already feel the energy and the having of it. You love the desire of it. You just surrender to the rest of it, knowing that the divine is going to bring you what you want. You have full faith. But you do your work in action in all of you. Like 100% of you shows up doing your absolute best. Now, your best will be different from day to day, but you are giving your best of yourself into that small action or big action, whatever it is, showing up for an interview, getting on a stage, writing that book, being a mom. My kids have a business now where they're taking care of dogs, right? And I'm like, just show up fully, right?
Yes.
Taking all of you. Don't waste that precious life force energy that is literally beating your heart and breathing you, because you're the action taker to that divine. And the more you give out, the more energy flows through you, and the more excellent, more success, more abundance, more of all the things that you desire come to you because you are putting yourself into it.
Do you recommend before you make that phone call or contact that person that you go through these principles of just getting aligned, focused, joyful, like just kind of like, as you said, having it, loving it, being in joy, surrendering to it, then you call? Like, is that a precursor?
Minutes. Yes, it just takes minutes. Literally, it doesn't take, let me go meditate for a whole hour before I make that phone call. It's pick up the phone.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to absolutely do this because, yes, I'm, of course, working on creating new things, and we all are in our businesses, working on new ways to relate with people and new ways to connect people together. And a lot of the old ways that weren't working, something about this COVID thing has been the great undoer of those things. It has been the great undoer of things that don't work. Look at the systems that have broken down within this virus. I mean, political systems, environmental systems. I mean, we're doing far less damage to our environment than we ever have, and it could never have happened this way unless it was a global shutdown. Yeah.
And so now is the time to desire and to birth those desires and align with those desires. It's time to know that we cannot not create. We're always creating. What's breathing us is the creator.
Yes, and I do hope that we can turn that desire towards a healthier life way of living too as a humanity, where we are focused on things like this, like getting our immune systems healthy, so that when big bugs like this come into our atmosphere, that we can have some line of defense within our bodies. And that has to do with the joyous perspective and outlook on life and healthy relationships with ourselves. A lot of that comes into overall general health. And a lot of what this disease did is it took advantage of the it was a very opportunistic virus for those that had the pre-existing conditions. And so if anything, this is a giant wake-up call. There are ways to mitigate those pre-existing conditions so that you can actually, I've seen people change their entire lives around by changing their lifestyle and their health. It's possible.
Well, we are divinely designed to have health and well-being, regardless of what our body condition has been. We always can push the reset button. We are divinely designed to have abundance. We are divinely designed to be creative and have success in all the things that we put our energy in. And we are divinely designed to have loving and supportive relationships, not just with the person that we love the most, but with our neighbors, with all family members, and ourselves.
Yes. It makes me feel good every day to do some random act of kindness for someone that doesn't know it. And it is one of my favorite things. And I feel so good. At the end of the day, I can put my head on the pillow and know I helped that person today. Or I reached out and, brought my neighbors a little gift. Or I had a conversation with somebody in line at the market, socially distanced, that made them feel good. Or I asked the checker, how's your day going? Just little things like that every single day give me a reason for being. And so anyone who wants to go into that line, just do that, feel good, definitely practice these principles. The Desire Factor is the name of the book. And if you go to theawareshow.com/Christy, you can get these incredible channelings that have been coming through Christy over these last couple of years that are wonderful. I listened to a couple of them the other day. They're funny.
Oh, yes, they're very funny. I love them so much. They are very humorous.
They're very frank. They don't fall into trends at all.
Nope, and they say it like it is. That's what
they say it like it is. They really do.
Yeah.
So this has been so much fun. As again, I feel like we've been in a little nook somewhere just having a conversation between girlfriends, and everyone else got to listen this time.
I love you so much. You are my soul sister, and I'm so grateful for you and all that you do in the world, and so grateful for your friendship. Thank you, Lisa.
Back at you, girl. I'm so grateful to know you in my life, and I will know you for a very long time.
Count on that.
All right. And remember that you can also listen to this on the Aware Show podcast. So please go to the podcast and share it with your friends, because that's the way that we spread messages like this that really help uplift humanity. So thank you again. I am Lisa Garr. And until next time, I invite you to stay aware.